Welcome back to the ClassyJS Devlogs. This is ClassyJS Devlog number 5. If you're new to ClassyJS or class-based programming, I highly recommend you check out the previous devlogs. We try to keep them short at around 5 minutes or less, and they're all linked in the description. To follow along or build your own applications, go to classyjs.com and download ClassyJS, or click on the link in the description. Click the subscribe button to keep updated on our weekly devlogs. Today we're going to talk about one of my favorite tools. This is our ability to control access to the members of our classes. This is so powerful that it's hard to overstate. Controlling access to the properties and methods of our classes is very important. Sometimes we want outside code to be able to change things, and that access is called public or pub. And sometimes we want to make things private or pri in order to stop outside code from accessing it. So far, we've made everything public or pub, which allows anyone to change anything at any time they want. This is really poor access control. Let's look at how to fix that. In our current project, we can look at pet and see that everything is public. Our two properties, name and sound, and our method greet. We don't want users of pet or its subclasses, dog and cat, to be able to change the properties, name or sound after they've created an instance. For example, if we look at main, we can see we've created first dog with the name Hugo, and we'd expect first dog to always have the name Hugo. But because name is public, it's always possible that somewhere in the application, the name could get changed to something else like Bob. For example, right now, I could add the line this.firstdog.name is equal to Bob, and then have firstdog greet us again. Let's test this and see what we get. We see Hugo says bark, and then we see Bob says bark. Our dog isn't acting like we expect it to. This is a common problem in code. Most programs are much more complicated than our example, and there are hundreds, if not thousands of lines of code. And if access is left open to a property, then you or another programmer might unwittingly change something they shouldn't. But it won't look wrong in the code because it's allowed. Let's fix this for pet and its subclasses. To do this, it's very, very easy. We need to change name from public or pub to private or pri. Next, let's look back at our main class. We're still trying to set this.firstdog.name equal to Bob. Let's test and see if it broke our code like last time. Now we see Hugo says bark, and then Hugo says bark. Our code didn't break. There's only one remaining thing to do, and this is a very helpful cosmetic change. Naming conventions for object-oriented languages like ClassyJS work like this. If name is public, it should look like .name. Anytime we look at our code, .name lets us know that it's editable externally. Since we've changed .name to a private property, we need a way to quickly see that it's not editable from outside this class. The common practice for this is to add an underscore to the beginning. So we'll change .name to ._name, which also means we need to change .name to ._name everywhere else it was used. First, we'll change it in the constructor by changing this .name to this ._name. And second, we'll change where it's used in the greet method by changing this .name to this ._name. To prove the importance of following this naming convention, let's look at main. We've still got a line of code that says this.firstdog.name equals Bob, but that doesn't make sense anymore because the property name doesn't exist. When we open pet, we can see only the property _name exists. So let's update main to match by changing this.firstdog.name to this.firstdog._name. Now this should be a huge red flag to us because we know that an underscore at the beginning means it's not accessible outside. We shouldn't even be trying to access it. So let's remove this line of code now and the second greet. Now that we've fixed the name property by making it private and showing that it's not accessible outside the class by adding an underscore, try doing the same thing with pet's sound property. Today, we made one of the most important steps forward in object-oriented programming. We controlled access to members of the pet class by making them public or private. And because of the super powerful inheritance built into ClassyJS, the property name is not only fixed for dog, it is already fixed for cat too, because it inherits from pet. And when you fix pet's sound property, dog and cat will both be fixed too. Thanks for joining us today for another ClassyJS devlog. As always, if you have any questions or comments, please leave them below.